If you're using the profile funnel, so you get followers through organic and paid, you get them in the ecosystem, you nurture them, and you convert them through appointment setting, you are going to fail in 2026 unless you implement what I'm about to show you in this video. In the last 3 years, after scaling my coaching business to multi-5 figures a month in the smallest niche you can think of, I've implemented the profile funnel for other coaches in a multitude of niches. I created hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of content and ad creatives, and placed and managed dozens of setters. And I'm starting to see trends and red flags that, if ignored, will be the biggest bottleneck for your business in 2026. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the biggest limitations of the profile funnel that most people ignore, when the profile funnel actually makes sense so that you can understand whether it's the best option for you or not, and then the final solution that you can implement if you want to make 2026 your best year yet. But first, let me quickly break down the profile funnel so that you better understand why it's faulty. So first of all, you get leads through carousels, reels, stories, and YouTube videos, whether it's organic or through paid ads, and you get leads into your ecosystem. Then once they're in, you nurture them and you warm them up through story sequences, YouTube videos, lead magnets, and reels. And you can eventually run retargeting ads to get more inbound DMs. Otherwise, you get organic inbound DMs and your setter does warm outbound on new followers. So the setter then starts the conversation, qualifies them, maybe sends some assets to nurture them further, and then hopefully the setter books the call, right? Then the call happens, and if they don't convert, they go through the follow-up sequence and maybe they convert later, or they still stay in the ecosystem. So they still get nurtured and maybe they're gonna convert at some point down the line. If they convert, they can either convert into a core offer, or if you have one, a downsell, and then eventually after they go through the downsell program, they can eventually convert into the core offer. And then they go through the onboarding call, fulfillment, they become testimonials and case studies that you can then leverage in your call and in your content, top of funnel and middle of funnel especially, and then you can eventually upsell them, resell them, create an MRR from them, or cross-sell them. Now, as you probably realized yourself from this breakdown and from using the profile funnel yourself, there is a fundamental problem with this type of funnel, which is that you never know precisely where leads are coming from. Now, there are a few workarounds that you can implement, and I'm gonna show you in a moment, to kind of understand where most prospects are coming from. But still, even if you understand that, your ads won't optimize for performance because the algorithm that is behind your ads will never know who actually converts and who doesn't. The second limitation is that it's by definition much slower than a normal VSL funnel, for example, because prospects needs to get in the ecosystem, get nurtured, the setter needs to start the conversation, they need to go through the conversation sequence and then hopefully book the call, and then still there is a time that elapses between when the call is booked and when the call is taken, right? So the conversion cycle might be anything between like a week to months and months and months on end. And because of this, it takes you ages to get accurate data on ROAS and cost per acquisition, which hopefully you know that, but these are the two metrics that you should base your ad decisions on. So in short, the profile funnel is much slower to optimize. The third limitation is that at scale, this funnel is going to break. There is a hard ceiling in the DMs. And yes, you can onboard multiple setters, but it's just gonna make your funnel more chaotic. Limitation number 4, your data are always gonna be blurry. You never know which piece of content a prospect consumed before converting. You never know exactly what was the first touch point. It's really blurry. And number 5, and this is probably the most important, your business is going to be entirely reliant on one single platform. Meaning, if tomorrow or next week Instagram decides to shut you down or to ban you or to suspend you or to shadow ban you, you're out. You're out of business. Now, does this mean that this funnel is complete whack and you should never use it? No, there are situations in which this funnel works pretty well. For example, when content does the heavy lifting, maybe when you're at the beginning, when you have long conversion cycles by default, when you need to build trust, when you have small to no budget. Because especially at the beginning, this is one of the cheapest funnels you can run because you can rely mainly on your organic and maybe 10, 20, 30 bucks a day into profile visit ads. And there are a couple of workarounds that you can use to at least understand where leads are coming from and what content or what ads to focus on. The first one is to run one profile visit ad creative at a time. Now, as you can imagine, this is super inefficient because to test different things, different metrics, different targetings, and different creatives, it's gonna take you so long because you run one ad, you need to get these followers, you need to start conversation with these followers, you need to take the calls with these followers, so it takes ages to test out. But at least you know that every single follower coming from ads was coming from that creative. The second workaround is to use comment plus lead magnet type of ads instead of classic follow me type of ads. So you still run traffic campaigns, but instead of redirecting people to your profile, you simply invite them to comment to get their resource. And then the ManyChat automation is gonna send that resource in the DMs, and because you're gonna have a different keyword in each ad creative, the setter can understand where that prospect is coming from exactly. Similarly, you can use DM ads, and your setter, in both cases, can track down throughout the entire journey the prospect. So you can have a spreadsheet where the setter tracks, okay, we got 2 inbounds from this ad, John and Jeff. We started a conversation with both, and both booked a call. They both showed up. John converted, Jeff didn't. At least you know that you got 1 conversion from that ad creative, and you can calculate ROAS and cost per acquisition from that creative. Still, it's gonna take a bit of time because you need volume to have an accurate data. So in short, there are small workarounds. And yes, you can ask in the onboarding form after you convert the client, what was the first touch point, even though that's gonna be always pretty blurry, and you can ask, what was the last touch point? So what was the piece of content that made you convert? And yes, all this is insightful data, but mainly to tweak your organic, because ads and targeting won't really change with this data. So your funnel, and especially your ads, are never gonna be as predictable and sharp as with a normal VSL funnel. So this is the solution. Looks super complicated, it is not, because you can implement a hybrid funnel and you can virtually create the combination that you prefer. So you could implement all these 5 funnels or just 2, right? The key is to don't put all your eggs in one basket. So let me go step by step. Let me show you each and every one of these 5 funnels so that you can decide which one to implement according to your offer and your level. Because especially if you are more at the beginning, you are below the 6-figure a month mark, then probably you're not gonna implement them all. You're gonna implement maybe 2, 3 of them. And then as you scale and your ad budget increases, you can run all of them. So the first one is a leaner version of the profile funnel so that you don't over rely on this type of funnel. You still use it, you can still benefit from it, but you don't only rely on this one. So you run carousels and reels, and you mainly rely on organic, but you also run 1 profile visit ad and multiple comment ads. This way you always have control over where followers and comments are coming from. The other difference is that this time you're not gonna do any outbound, so that you reduce the amount of workload on the setter side, so that 1 setter is going to be enough. So you're gonna run more story sequences, organic story sequences, and you're gonna create more bridges between Instagram and YouTube, and between story sequences and DMs. You're gonna run more nurturing reels and more lead magnets. This way you increase the amount of inbounds that the setter gets. This way you still get cheap leads and all the other benefits of the profile funnel without overloading your setter. You also get to preserve the health and longevity of your account, and you still build that connection and long-term relationship with your followers. Number 2 is a YouTube funnel. Now here, instead of redirecting people from YouTube to the DMs, you get traffic on YouTube through organic, and you can redirect some of the traffic from Instagram to YouTube if you're running, for example, the lean profile funnel and this YouTube funnel. But then you don't redirect people back to Instagram, you simply redirect them to a landing page where you have a VSL with an opt-in and a call to action. This is my favorite funnel because YouTube is the long-term game. You can get to a point where you book dozens of calls every week just from a YouTube channel for free. But the downside is that it takes a little longer to build. But here's the thing, you wanna diversify as much as possible so that again, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You can have a profile funnel, a YouTube funnel, and then a landing page funnel. This way you get the long-term benefits, the trust benefits and social proof benefits, and the quick benefits and control over data of a landing page funnel. Another funnel that works pretty well in specific info niches is the free course funnel. So you still run Reels and YouTube organically, and then you have 2 types of ads. One is comment ad, and then you have a call to action at the end, of course, to comment a keyword, and then the message automation is gonna send a link, and the other one is straight the link. And the link you send is for a free school community. And in the ad and in the organic content and in the YouTube content, you pitch a free course. So people access the community for free on school to get access to the free course. And they consume the free course, and they potentially even attend some group calls, and then a setter reaches out to them within school. So instead of doing appointment setting on Instagram, you do it on school. And sometimes what happens, you're gonna get inbound. So people are gonna automatically be interested in an upsell. So in paying you after they go through the free course, because your free course potentially is so good that they wanna learn more from you. This funnel is crazy good in my opinion, because again, you don't focus on one single platform, but you still get the benefits of Instagram organic and ads that are not necessarily tied to your Instagram channel. And usually the cost per acquisition is lower than a classic landing page funnel because people get to consume a ton of your value before they book the call. So the conversion is going to be much higher, it's going to be much easier to book the call once they are in the community and they get to consume the course. It goes without saying though that if you're only selling a course, giving a course for free doesn't make much sense, right? This makes sense if you're selling a high-level mentorship, a one-on-one mentorship, for example, and in that case, you can give away the information for free and then you can sell the implementation. This works especially well if you also have some done-for-you aspects. So you're not just consulting, you are consulting and doing something for them. And this is the one that I'm implementing. I have a free course and then I sell the implementation, which is ads and appointment setting. And finally, we get to the classic VSL opt-in funnel. Yes, it's quite expensive. Yes, you might think it's quite outdated, but this is the funnel with which you have more control over data and it's the one that is more scalable at high level. So you can run one-pager ads, real ads and carousel ads, all with click the link type of call to action, and then you get them on the landing page, they watch the VSL and they fill out the opt-in form and then they book a call. Now, of course, it's got downsides because it's so simple. You need to be an absolute killer at ads. Your VSL must be a banger and also your pre-call sequence must be super optimized because usually the show up rate and the qualification rate is much lower than, for example, from the profile funnel. But in turn, you get super quick and super accurate data that you can work with and scale. And then the last funnel that you can implement alongside these ones is the webinar funnel. This works specifically well if you're selling, for example, just a course without any done for you or done with you aspect. And here you run organic reels, organic YouTube videos, and comment ads, and click the link ads with a link to a landing page, and then they get to watch a VSL. There's an opt-in, but this time it's not to book a call, it's simply to sign up for a free webinar. And then on the webinar, you can either book a call if you're selling a high ticket package, or you can sell a mid-ticket program directly in the webinar. And this is the most efficient way because it's one-to-many selling. Of course, you gotta be really good at presenting and you must provide an insane amount of value on the webinar to get people to pay you or to book a short sales call to close the deal. So yeah, the profile funnel isn't the only solution available. And if you implement even just 2 of these funnels I mentioned, you're gonna be in a better position than people only using the profile funnel. Now, if you need some help with your ads, VSLs, appointment setting, and funnels, the next step is going to be in the description below.